October 1973. The Sinai Desert. An Israeli pilot pushes his jet below 500 feet to dodge a Soviet SA-6 missile. Standard evasion, exactly what his training taught him. He flies straight into a radar-guided 4-barrel cannon, putting 4,000 rounds per minute into the air. He never makes it home. That system is the ZSU-23-4, the Shilka. And the trap it sprung that day was not an accident. It was doctrine. The missile forced the pilot low. The gun finished the job. Over 100 Israeli aircraft were lost in 19 days. Here is the question nobody asks. Why did Russia spend the next 50 years through the Tunguska, through the Pantsir, and every system in between, always keeping the guns? Why, when missiles kept getting better, did they never just drop the cannons entirely? The answer will change how you think about modern air defense. Let's go back to where this starts. The Soviet Army fields the ZSU-27-2, twin 57mm cannons, no radar, optically aimed. To fire it accurately, you had to stop moving. Jets were already flying at 600 miles per hour. Do the math. A jet at that speed covers 880 feet every single second. An optical gunner, manually tracking, does not stand a chance. The system was obsolete the year it entered service. So the Soviets did what they always did. They set a hard requirement, gave it to competing design bureaus, and told them to solve it. Two teams showed up with two very different answers. One team built the Yenisei, twin 37mm cannons, heavier, longer range. The other built the Shilka, 4 23mm barrels, fully radar-guided, 19 tons. The State Commission ran trials in 1961 and 1962. Against high-speed targets between 200 and 500 meters altitude, the Shilka was 1.5 to 2 times more effective. The Yenisei also weighed 28 tons versus the Shilka's 19. That decided it. The Yenisei was canceled. The Shilka went into production. Here is what made the Shilka genuinely different from everything that came before it. 4.2A7 water-cooled autocannons firing simultaneously. Combined rate of fire up to 4,000 rounds per minute. That is not a typo. 4,000. That works out to roughly 67 rounds hitting the air every single second. The RPK-2 Tobel radar, which NATO called gun dish, could search out to 20 kilometers, track a target at 18 kilometers, and lock on in 20 to 30 seconds. The system could fire on the move. The crew was 4: commander, driver, gunner, radar operator. But here's what makes this insane. The effective range was only about 2.5 kilometers. Against a modern jet, that is an incredibly small window. The Shilka was not designed to destroy aircraft at long range. It was designed to make low-altitude flight so dangerous that pilots either stayed high, where missiles could kill them, or came low and got torn apart by cannon fire. It was a trap, not a weapon. And in October 1973, that trap killed over 100 Israeli aircraft in 19 days. That war changed everything. NATO spent years redesigning its attack tactics from scratch. But the Shilka had one more story to tell before the Soviets moved on. Afghanistan, 1979. Soviet forces are pushing through mountain passes, and the Shilka's radar is useless against men on ridgelines. So they did something that tells you everything about the gun underneath the system. They removed the radar entirely, stripped it out, doubled the ammunition to 4,000 rounds, added a night sight, and used it as a direct-fire cannon against mountain positions. The system that won its reputation on radar-guided precision became a brute-force infantry support weapon. Afghan fighters called it the sewing machine. They could hear it before they could do anything about it. That adaptability was not a coincidence. It was baked into the design from the start. But the Soviets learned something too from both wars, something that led them to build a system even more lethal. Stay with me, because what happens next is one of the strangest stories in Cold War weapons development. By 1970, the Soviets had a new problem. The Americans were building the A-10 Thunderbolt II, a ground attack aircraft specifically designed to fly low, absorb punishment, and kill Soviet tanks. Its titanium cockpit armor could take a direct 23mm hit, and the pilot might still fly home. The Shilka's caliber was not going to cut it anymore. On June 8, 1970, a Soviet decree handed the problem to KBP Instrument Design Bureau in Tula. Lead designer Arkady Shapunov. The requirement was specific: twice the range of the Shilka, twice the altitude coverage, reaction time under 10 seconds, and this time add missiles. Development moved forward. Then in 1975, it stopped completely. Defense Minister Marshal Grechko looked at the program and asked a simple question. We already have the OSA-AK surface-to-air missile. It has comparable range. Why do we need this? The answer that saved the program was a single number. The OSA-AK had a reaction time of over 30 seconds against a helicopter appearing from behind terrain. The Tunguska's gun system had a reaction time of 8 to 10 seconds. Against a helicopter popping up 1 kilometer away, no warning, anti-tank missiles already armed, 20 seconds is not a gap. It is a death sentence for the armored column below. Development resumed in 1977. Testing ran from September 1980 through December 1981. On September 8, 1982, the Tunguska officially entered Soviet service. Here is the kicker. The system the Soviets almost canceled because they thought missiles made it unnecessary was saved specifically because missiles were not fast enough. Two 2A 38-30mm twin-barrel autocannons, combined rate of fire up to 2,500 rounds per minute. Effective vertical range against aircraft, 3 kilometers. Kill probability with cannon fire alone reported at 0.8. And now, for the first time, missiles. 89M 311 SAMs ready to fire, engagement range up to 8 kilometers, later extended to 10 in the Tunguska M1. 1 vehicle, 2 weapon systems, 1 crew of 4. The guns handle anything that gets close. The missiles handle anything the guns cannot reach. If the radar gets jammed, you switch to optical tracking and keep firing. But the Tunguska still had limits. And by the late 1980s, a new project was starting in Tula that would take the gun missile philosophy to its furthest point yet. One system that would sell for $734 million to a single customer, get shot up by cheap drones over the Libyan desert, and still somehow end up on Russian warships. That system is the Pantsir-S1, and its story is the most complicated of the 3. Development started in 1989 to 1990, again at KBP Tula, again under Shapunov. The Soviet Union collapsed 2 years later. The program almost died with it. What saved it was the United Arab Emirates. In May 2000, the UAE signed a contract for 50 Pantsir-S1 systems. Contract value, $734 million. They were the first customer. Russia used that money to finish the system. The Pantsir entered Russian Air Force service on March 18, 2010. On June 22, 2012, a Syrian Pantsir-S1 shot down a Turkish RF-4E reconnaissance aircraft near Latakia. First confirmed combat kill. Two 2A 3 8M 30mm autocannons, same family as the Tunguska. Effective gun range against aircraft, 4 kilometers. Altitude coverage, 3 kilometers. Each gun fires up to 40 rounds per second. 1257E 6 surface-to-air missiles, range up to 20 kilometers, altitude coverage up to 15 kilometers. Stated kill probability, 70 to 90%. The search radar detects targets out to 36 kilometers. The system can track and engage 2 targets simultaneously using both radar and electro-optic thermal imaging. Up to 6 Pantsir vehicles can operate in a networked group. On paper, it is the most complete short-range air defense system ever built. And then the drones came. May 2020, Libya. Turkish forces operating Bayraktar TB2 drones alongside Koral electronic warfare systems targeted Pantsir systems belonging to Khalifa Haftar's forces. The Koral jammed the Pantsir's radar. The TB2 came in slow and low. The optical backup system, which requires a trained operator actively watching, missed it. Up to 9 Pantsir systems were destroyed in a single month. Estimated losses, $140 million. One of the destroyed Pantsirs had run out of missiles and was sitting unloaded, waiting for a reload vehicle that had not arrived. Russia's official response came from Valery Slugin, the lead Pantsir designer. In a 2020 interview, he was blunt. The Pantsir is not to blame. The problem is that the complex was used incorrectly. He may be partially right. Isolated, undermanned systems with untrained crews are easier targets. But the Russian military's response is more telling than his words. By 2019, before the Libya losses even happened, they had already announced the Pantsir-S1 upgrade. New radar, 75-kilometer detection range, improved electro-optic tracking, specifically designed to address the drone and EW vulnerability. When you announce a fix, you are admitting there was a problem. So why, through all of this, through 5 decades, 3 major systems, 2 lost wars, and a drone revolution, has Russia never dropped the guns? 5 reasons. Every single one comes down to physics and money. 1. Reaction time. 8 to 10 seconds for a gun. 30 seconds for a missile. Against a helicopter popping up 1 kilometer away, you do not have 30 seconds. 2. The layered trap. Yom Kippur proved it. You force the pilot into a choice between 2 ways to die. That only works if both layers are real. 3. Jamming. You cannot jam a gun. You can jam a radar. When electronic warfare blinds the missiles, the cannons keep firing. 4. Dead zones. Every missile has a minimum arming distance. Guns do not. Something 300 meters away is inside every missile's dead zone. It is not inside a gun's. 5. Cost. A burst from a 30mm cannon costs almost nothing per round. Against a $20,000 drone, firing a guided missile is a losing trade. The gun exists precisely for those moments. Today, the Shilka is still in active Russian service, not in storage. Active with naval infantry brigades on 3 different fleets. The Tunguska is still fighting in Ukraine right now on both sides of the line. The Pantsir-S1, with upgraded sensors targeting small drones specifically, is in development, and the naval Pantsir-M, designed for Russian corvettes, does not use a new missile as its primary close-in weapon. It uses a 6-barrel rotary cannon. The philosophy that started with 4 water-cooled 23mm barrels in 1965 has not changed. It has just gotten more expensive and more complicated. The Libya drone losses exposed a real gap in this doctrine. Turkey's $2 million drones dismantled $140 million worth of Pantsir systems in a single month. Do you think the gun-missile hybrid can survive the drone era, or has cheap unmanned tech permanently broken it? Drop your answer in the comments. Here is the full picture. The Soviet Union looked at a problem, built a machine to solve it, watched that machine get copied, upgraded, exported, and shot down, and then built a better version of the exact same idea. Not because they were stubborn, because the physics never changed. Guns are fast, missiles are reach. You need both, or you lose the pilot who went low to avoid the thing you thought would kill him. See you on the next one.